this session, we will look at the factors impacting the underwriting of disability insurance plans. Insurance risks are assessed by underwriters in two ways. First of all, there is financial underwriting and medical underwriting when it comes to issuing disability income policies. Under financial underwriting, the underwriters want to verify the level of income of the applicant to ensure that the level of coverage they've applied for is reasonable and can be justified. And so they will usually request a history of the earnings over the past 2 or 3 years. They'll ask for the person's tax returns, for example, to verify their level of income, so to make sure that it is at a relatively consistent level and it doesn't really only reflect last year's earnings, which might be a good year. Previous years might have been a lot lower. So they need to verify the level of income to determine what is the appropriate level of coverage. In addition to that, financial underwriting involves the underwriter looking at the individual's income to determine whether they would have the ability to pay those premiums over the long term. And so very simply, can the applicant, the owner of the policy, afford the premium over the long term? Their second type of underwriting is medical underwriting. So obviously this is important in that we want to determine if the applicant is an acceptable claims risk from a health perspective. And so the underwriter is going to look at all of the information that has been gathered from any medical questionnaires or medical questions that were posed to the applicant or the proposed life to be insured. These would also include the similar things that you have seen when we looked at life insurance underwriting. So attending physician statements where they would request additional information from the applicant's attending physician, their doctor. They may require other medical tests that may be necessary depending on the amount applied for or the age possibly of the applicant or maybe some of their medical history. And so you'll also see all of the standard types of requirements and sources that they will access as they did for underwriting life insurance policies. They'll also access the MIB. You may recall the Medical Information Bureau. This is a central database of material that is covered in applications for insurance that the applicant may have submitted in previous years to other insurance companies. So that's also available to the underwriter to access additional medical information. What are the factors now that can impact the cost of the disability income policy? And there are factors that really they apply to the applicant, and there are some factors that apply to the insurance company that is hopefully going to be issuing that policy. And so your premiums are going to be determined by, certainly for disability income, the occupational class that you fall into. You may recall in our discussion on individual disability income, occupational duties, what you do on a day-to-day basis is critical in determining what occupational class the applicant will fall into, and that'll determine what types of disability definitions they qualify for, and also the type of coverage that's going to be available. So this is a critical piece of the underwriting process. Definition of disability that's selected. Does the person want an own occupation or a regular occupation definition? Based on their occupational class, maybe they are only eligible for an any occupation definition. So certainly the definition of disability that they are eligible for is going to impact the premium that they're going to pay. Again, what type of policy? Is it a term policy? Is it what are the level of benefits they're selecting? Are they going to have a long or short waiting period? Are they going to have a long or short benefit period? So all these kinds of things specific to the policy they're applying for are going to impact the premium. And then obviously age and gender will also play a determining factor in how much they pay. So these are primarily factors relating to the applicant. Factors relating to insurance companies. Obviously, as you may recall, insurance premiums are usually impacted by administrative costs, investment returns, and for life insurance companies, it would be mortality rates. But what's different for disability insurance is they look at morbidity rates. And so morbidity rates are the incidence of disability or illness of injury in a certain market segment, in the segment or the demographic that we are dealing with. So for disability insurance, we'll look at the admin costs of the company, investment returns that are possible from the premiums that are going to be paid, lapse rates. These are surrender rates that are, can impact a company's overall costs. Morbidity rates, as I explained. Remember, if you get a question about, what factors impact life insurance premiums versus disability insurance premiums, you'll have to remember that disability insurance premiums are impacted by morbidity rates. Life insurance policies premiums are impacted by mortality rates. And also what's going to impact the premium are going to be any ratings or exclusions that the insurance company would be adding into the risk assessment that they are making. And there may be, based on the client's situation, they may exclude coverage in certain situations. So these are the factors that are going to impact overall premiums that the applicant is going to be charged. So they're going to be factors specific to the applicant and factors specific to the insurance company. Once the policy has been approved and needs now to be delivered to the client in order for it to be put in force, contract delivery is the responsibility of the agent. So the agent needs to deliver the newly issued contract, should do that promptly, shouldn't have it sitting around on their desk for any time. They should deliver that policy promptly. Needs to be done face to face so that they can make sure there's no change in the client's health situation. The client, the applicant, once they have accepted the policy, so the contract is not going to be legally in force until it has been delivered to the policyholder, the initial premium has been paid, and there's been no change in the applicant's financial situation or health situation since the date of the application. So these are very important. And once the policy is delivered to the client, they're also likely going to have to sign a delivery receipt to say that they have received that policy. Now, the client could have gone through all of this process, accepted the policy, submitted the premium, and there's been no change in their financial situation. However, they still have a 10-day rescission right. They still have the right to look at the policy and change their mind up to 10 days after they have taken delivery of the contract. So that rescission right of 10 days applies to disability insurance plans, just as it does to life insurance plans. Now, in this delivery process, obviously the agent should always explain the key policy features to the client, because they may not have seen the client for the past 3 or 4 weeks, and the client sometimes forget some of the key policy features. So it's always good practice to explain the key benefits and the key policy features in a policy to the client at the time of delivery. Now, client service is really a key differentiator. It is something that the agent is at the forefront of delivering and fostering that service relationship with the client. And so, the agent's part of that agent's service role. It's not only to take the application and to deliver the policy, but, they have to maintain an ongoing awareness of the client's situation and needs. They have to continue to determine the suitability of the policies that they have sold to the client, and in fact, are those policies still suitable? Maybe there are changes that have taken place in the client's family situation or the business situation, and what they currently have in place is no longer suitable. And so, the agent's service role is certainly to maintain an ongoing awareness of the client's situation and needs, document any of the service requirements or any changes that they've made with the client, and certainly stay in touch. Find out some way to keep in touch with that client, either on a semi-annual or annual basis, so that they can continue to provide the appropriate guidance and any appropriate service forms that may be required, or claims needs that would be also required by the client. So, the underwriting process is not only for the head office of the company. The underwriting starts with the agent or the advisor. They are, in fact, as I've said, a field underwriter. So they start the underwriting process right at the beginning, from their getting to know the client, collecting the appropriate information, submitting that information to the head office underwriters. Once the policy has been approved, they'll continue to deliver the policy and follow up with the client. So that really comprises that entire role of the advisor, which simply is not just taking an application and then sending it off to the company. It's a much more in-depth role, because you're trying to establish a long-term relationship with the client. So that's our coverage of underwriting for disability insurance policies and the ongoing process after it's been approved for the role of the advisor or the agent in delivering that policy to the client and putting it in effect.